Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 313, Personal Transformation. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm excited to be in the studio today. I'm here with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday, June 17th. My name is Shawn Kilgore. Yeah, I am the proud producer of the Experience of the Soul podcast. Super happy to be here with you this morning. We got a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about here real quick. We're still in our $9,000 in 90 days campaign. We're doing great with that. We can't thank you enough for your generosity and support with that.
Yes, we've had right at about $1,000 come in, which is awesome.
Excellent. Very, very good.
Yeah, and by the time this airs, I'm sure it will be more, but we just want to acknowledge and honor all the gifts that have come in so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate that support.
Can't do it without you, right?
Right.
So we also then want to do a YouTube viewer shout out. This morning, we're shouting out to YouTube viewer Marlene Gonzalez, who joins us there on YouTube and comments some very nice things. So we appreciate you joining us there. And of course, friends, if you have not yet checked out the video version of the podcast, you can head on over to Cynthia Alice Anderson on YouTube. Click that subscribe button. We are putting out YouTube shorts every single day, and we're putting out, of course, the podcast episodes with video every single Monday. So you can check us out. You can look at us there.
Look at me. Look at me.
Look at me while I talk to you. All right. So that's our shout out. So of course, join us on social media, Cynthia Alice Anderson, Facebook, Instagram, very active there. And we are, of course, now in will be our third week of the Soulworks group of our community.
Our online community. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're really excited about what we're building there and just grateful for those of you who do comment. It took me a long time to understand the importance of that, and it's important for a couple of reasons. One, when you comment on any of the social media, it helps us know we're going in the right direction and that we're lifting you up and supporting you. And friends, we need the support too. It's like, we get up early, we do a lot of planning, and a lot of money is spent to make this possible for you. So that those little comments back, even if it's just a few words, mean so much. The other thing I've learned, and Shawn, you've really helped me with this as well. Anytime somebody likes, anytime somebody comments, anytime somebody subscribes, it helps more people like us, like-minded, find us. And for a long time, I resisted social media because of the negativity. But what I have learned is it's also a way to connect spiritually. And so all those comments are appreciated. And Marlene, I love you and bless you, your whole family. I mean, I've done your wedding. I've done the baptism.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I love I'm pulling these shout outs, and they're people that you're super connected with. It's great.
Oh, yes. Marlene and her whole family, they're very, very dear to me. I love them all. And she's a very accomplished yoga instructor. She was doing something out at Disney recently with families there. So anyway, love you, Marlene. Thank you. Thank you. And if you have not signed up for our online program, it's like, okay, I made peace with social media, and it's really funny because
after all these years,
I know what's really fun about the online program is you don't have to deal with bots and negative comments and algorithms. The idea, and if you're on my mailing list, you've probably seen this, but I want to reiterate it, that we wanted to create a safe place for spiritual growth and transformation. It's really about spiritual growth and personal transformation. And there's great stuff on social media. We know that. There's positive stories. I love all the puppy and the cat stuff. But the fact is, to really grow, to really transform, to transform our lives, some concentrated time, energy, and sometimes money has to be dedicated to it. And so this online community we're building is about that, and it helps me help you better because it is this kind of protected spiritual space. And what I love about it is you could be right here in the same city or state, or you could be around the world. But what binds us is our thinking about God, our thinking about living from the soul, and wanting to live more soul-centered lives. So I'm super excited and honored to be bringing it to you. Shawn's an amazing help. My graphic designer, web designer is amazing help, Shannon. So any way you're a part of it, we're grateful. And there's a free level. We wanted to create a place for you to connect is the main thing.
Yes. And I want to go back to that, what you were saying about the sharing and the liking and the subscribing and all of that stuff, because it really does. I mean, yes, we're doing this campaign, $9,000 in 90 days, trying to raise the money to keep things going for us. But there are other ways that you can support, small businesses or, essentially what we're doing. And it's all of those things. And that costs nothing to click the little like button on a post or to share that post or to, any of those interactions on social media are they make a big difference. So we appreciate all of the ways that you join us and all of the ways that you engage. And remember, you can send us a text message directly from your device as you're listening to the podcast. That. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh, I just had a dear friend from years ago reach out that way for a one-on-one coaching session. She was like, I was just listening to your show and I looked down and saw I could contact you. And she reached out. We're getting together this week. And so, friends, this is wonderful because it's somebody I love. It's somebody I'm so happy to support. And it's somebody who, no longer lives in this area, so we can't connect that way. And that reminds me, too, we want to do a shout out to Benton Harbor, Michigan. What a beautiful spot. My goodness, I looked at it online and, bring me in to speak is all I want to say.
I want to go.
Yeah, Shawn, you come and you film it. Shawn.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then you can sing while you're there too. We'll get you some gigs as well. Well, this is great. And Shawn, I'm excited about our show today because everything we're talking about is actually, the focus. So give us our show title today to keep me on track.
Absolutely. Friends, welcome once again to episode 313 of The Experience of the Soul. Today we are talking about personal transformation.
Yes, personal transformation. And friends, I heard somebody I really admire, Richard Rohr, the great, he's a priest, and I've spent time with him in a retreat setting several years ago. And one of the things I've heard him say in some form repeatedly is personal transformation cannot truly happen without spirituality. You're kidding yourself if you think you're just going to transform without the help, the support of divine energy, without the awareness of the soul work and journey you're on. And I tend to agree with that. We live in a time in a society, luckily, where there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of energy around personal transformation. And a lot of what I hear, though, is strictly psychology based or psychologically based. And as much as I appreciate and love psychology, I have what I call a psycho-spiritual approach where I am including those principles of psychology, of self-awareness, of, learning even the archetypal patterns of behaviors and how to begin to heal some of those things. But what I've learned is if I just try to heal those things at the level of the mind or, that old-fashioned just cognitive behavioral, I need something else. And it's been an important part of my journey to do therapeutic work. I still do it today. I work with a mentor who is amazing. She helps me see the patterns in my own life. And even though she is what's called an archetypal pattern analyst, she has about 3 doctorate degrees as well. She's also a minister, and spirituality is absolutely there. So I want you to hear me say that as I talk about personal transformation, I'm talking about, it's not about trying to get personal transformation. It is about honoring ourselves by committing to a spiritual process, and personal transformation happens as a result. And we talked about it a few shows ago. Shawn was sharing a little bit about his physical journey and how that came out of his soul work for the very first time. I talked a little bit about my physical journey and how my guidance was to do a real specific thing. And so personal growth and transformation is happening. It's happening on a physical level, but it is happening as a result of committing myself to a spiritual process. So I want you to think about, as you're going throughout your day and your week, how much time am I spending on this? Am I honoring myself in this way by committing to not committing yourself? That would have sounded funny. By committing to a spiritual process on a regular basis. And so many of us think by a lot of it, I think, is the self-help gurus. Sometimes it's ministers like me talking about spiritual principle. Sometimes the way we talk about it, it sounds like if you just do 1, 2, and 3, you're going to be personally transformed. You're going to move into this nirvana state, and you're never going to have to work again on yourself and on your spiritual journey. Well, we think if I just do this, then I'll arrive. If I just do this, then I'll be okay. If I can just do these 3 things, then I'll be awake and aware. And what we really learn is like the good news and the bad news is it's a day by day, sometimes moment by moment process, sometimes even breath by breath process. So what I am saying is each of us has a call to a spiritual journey. We have a call to personally transform. But to have true transformation at a deep level, it comes from working at the level of the soul. I know this because I work in my coaching with department heads, CFOs, CEOs, business owners, leaders in the community. And they have, by the time they get to me, they have usually tried every other mode possible. They've tried a psychology, they've tried recovery groups, they've tried physical boot camps and stuff like that. And those have all been good and helpful. But what they all tell me is that, I say all, most tell me, is that their journey is kind of catapulted forward and the growth is so much quicker when they're starting at the level of the soul. We're looking at what were those wounds to the soul, not just what was your family of origin. Are there wounds that you brought in? Are there things that are asking for healing? And so what from a psychological level might look like, you need to make this choice. Sometimes on a physical level, that choice is different because you're breaking through an old pattern or belief. So I want you to just consider what I'm saying as a way to rethink your journey, how you're approaching your journey, rather. It's interesting, as I'm talking, I almost got distracted by the books behind me. You can see the books behind me. There's books on the chakras. There's books on the Enneagram. There's a book on the book of Genesis. But each of those books is based in spiritual awareness. Each of those books is based on personal transformation as a result of a spiritual process. So I want you to think about how much time, how much energy are you giving to this? How much change are you seeing in your life and world? If you're doing what works for you right now, that is awesome. As I'm thinking back, I grew up in the church and my family was very involved. The doors of the Methodist Church didn't open without the Andersons showing up. And even though I was deeply involved in church and I had a faith of my own, it really wasn't until I discovered a more spiritual journey, the journey of that I discovered in unity, of meditation, of being aware of how my behaviors were impacting myself and the people around me, even though I'd had therapy, even though I'd had counselors in college, even though I had, even as a teenager, gotten therapy through a church. It was not in a spiritual way that I was ready to understand or hear until I became much older and realized there's something more to this journey. And so once I learned about meditation, once I learned about consciously grounding myself, once I learned about the observer self and that I could literally be in a space of observing myself and my own behavior, and that then I could make changes in that. As good as the therapy was, as good as the recovery groups were, they didn't give me that. They didn't give me that. So I want you to think about, are you honoring yourself and your journey by the time you're spending on your soul process? And I want to invite you into a deeper process with me. And remember, as we honor ourselves by doing soul work and upholding shared values, we learn to transform day by day, moment by moment. Yes, day by day, moment by moment. So I want to say a little bit. I hadn't said a lot about shared values, but in the online community that we are building, what's so wonderful to see is the coming together of people with shared values who felt a little bit alone and isolated based on what they see in the world at large, on social media platforms, and things they hear from work around the office, the negativity, the raging against everything, and the way we see people come together, the way we see people connecting and uplifting each other, it like gives us hope for humanity to see that we are about shared values, and that as we come together in community, we help each other uphold our shared values. And what I mean by that, so what is a shared value? Well, a shared value, and Shawn, I want to invite you into talking about this with me because, we didn't talk about doing this at all, but things that we believe in that are shared values. For instance, one of the things I believe in is the power of love. And I would, without even asking you, I would know that's a shared value.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. The power of love. I also believe in forgiveness to transform and heal.
100%.
100%. Exactly. Any you can think of for you, Shawn, that you might say you believe in?
That would be shared values.
Yeah.
Like with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Just me and you. That's nobody else. Just me and you.
All right. Yeah. I would say, finding peace, the desire to find peace in the daily, run around.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that one, because I remember you saying to me right before we started working together intensively, you said, the thing about your show is it really brings people peace. And I said, yeah, it does. And it brings me peace to do it. So yes, that's a strong shared value.
Yeah.
Is this need for peace and this belief that we can find peace in the moment, even though, the world is a little loud and crazy right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the need for community, of people with these shared values. I mean, to have that support.
I think that's all good. I think the other thing, Shawn, I was thinking just in relation to us, because we don't know who's listening and what their shared values might be. But as we're talking, I would think another value we share is the ability of music to heal.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can
music to heal, nature to heal. We have,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was healed that day. We just went bombing around in the Jeep. That was healing for me.
Me too. Yep, absolutely.
Being in the water, laughing, being in the sun. It's like, I love Florida.
Yeah.
I know I hear people go, oh, Florida, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I love it. I'm happy here.
I'm happy here. Yep.
Yeah, I'm good to go. But yeah, it's interesting. So as you're listening, friends, know that this is the type of community we're in. This is what, we're building. And I think another one that's strong for me is accountability. If you say you're going to do something, you show up and you do it. If you're not, and if I'm not being accountable, that somebody in the group or somebody I love says to me, hey, what's going on? because you said one thing and you didn't show up, and that's not like you. And
Right.
I'm
Being
here. I'm here
impeccable
for.
with your word, right? Being impeccable with that's one
I'm
of the
telling
isn't
you,
that one of the four agreements? Right.
yeah,
Yep.
yep. Be impeccable with your word. Take nothing personally. Always do your best. What's the
Yeah.
third? What's the fourth? The first one is.
Um
Oh well.
oh, do you want me to look
Anyway,
at
we believe in all those.
Yeah. I've read it
I
so many
can't.
times.
I can't remember what they are right now, but I know I believe in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and the I believe in the power of the human spirit, which for me is the soul. Like what I have seen people, individuals, overcome. Um, in terms of health challenges, in terms of what they've experienced as children, and how they've transformed, has been really, really miraculous. And I think in all the cases I'm thinking of right now that I'm speaking about, people who've overcome things, they've done it through the power of spiritual community. So I believe in it, and I know spiritual community is changing. I love the fact that our listeners have churches they attend and listen to us. I love that for some people, our online spiritual community in the podcast is their church. I love that people do a variety of things. I was just talking to one of my clients who doesn't have a spiritual home right now, other than the podcast. And he kind of follows me around online, at Unity North Tampa and various places. And I said, well, I would really encourage you to try some new spiritual experiences. He's white. So I said, go to a Black church. If you've never been, that's an incredible experience. If you've never been to a Buddhist or meditation center, do that. It's like, I don't worry about you doing anything new. I know it's going to add to your soul journey and spiritual awareness. So Shawn, you looked those up, didn't you? You couldn't.
I did.
You couldn't handle it. You couldn't handle me not
I was like,
knowing
how
that.
can I not? Yeah. So the first one is be impeccable with your word. Then do not take anything personally. Do not make assumptions, which I think is huge with where we are in society right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And always do your best. Which is,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, those are all beautiful. It's funny that being impeccable with your word, is number one, and that's really accountability.
Yeah, yeah.
That's accountability. Well, I've discovered for myself that in my friendships and romantic relationships in general, all of the people in my life really have a high degree of impeccability with their word. They just are what I call stand-up people. My mom used to say, honey, those people are salt of the earth. And that's what she meant. They did what they said they were going to do. And if they couldn't do it, they wouldn't say it. That they were absolutely impeccable with their word and that their actions match their words. Oh boy, that's leading me to a whole nother thing. I don't know if I should open that up, but I want you to think about, I'm just going to say this because we are talking about being able to tell the truth and being in spiritual community. If your thoughts and feelings are not matching your words and actions, I want you to look at that. If your thoughts and feelings are not matching your words and actions, I want you to look at that. And I want you to bring that to the group, to our group at the Soulworks in our online community to receive support on that. Because what's also really profound about being in spiritual community when a environment of emotional safety, an environment of impeccability with our word, an environment of authenticity is that we can have a question, we can have a struggle, and we can be honest. And the kind of guidance, the kind of support that you're going to receive from a spiritual community is really different from almost anywhere else. I say almost because I often think of my jujitsu community as another spiritual community for me. I've always considered the martial arts to have a really important spiritual component, simply because it's use of the breath and things like that. So, and I'll give you an example. This happened just this morning, actually. I was practicing a technique, and I've done it many times before, but somehow I had a little block about it. And my partner, of course, was supporting me. And I said to her, oh, I apologize. I need to do that again. And my coach said, no apologies. No. Why would you apologize? You're learning. Right? You're learning. And I thought, well, how healing is that? Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning. There's no need to apologize. So that's why I'm saying if you're coming to spiritual community, and you have a struggle, if your thoughts and feelings are not matching your words and actions, I want you to bring that to the community so we can help you work it. It's like so often we hold these things in our consciousness in a way that we keep our own selves stuck. And I don't want you to be stuck. I want your life to be able to flow. I want you to be able to move. And what differentiates to me spiritual community from most places, I'll say, is that it's not based on the personality. It's not based on age, race, or status. It's not based on what the news says about your demographic, which I think is mostly bizarre, made up material anyway. But the community is really based on a desire to grow. It's based on a desire to mature at the level of the soul. And this is my hope for all of us, is that we focus our mind, body, and soul on our spiritual process, and then personal transformation is a result. Personal transformation, I want to say this again, personal transformation is a natural outcome of committing to a spiritual process. You are going to transform. Sometimes the transformation is emotional. Sometimes the personal transformation is physical or mental. But always, personal transformation is a natural outcome of committing yourself to a spiritual process. And so, really, when you commit yourself to a spiritual process, what is happening is that you are honoring yourself by doing regular soul work. Like, you are believing that you have something to give to the world. And so the self-worth that is gained, like, you could not say enough affirmations to get the self-worth that comes as a result of working your spiritual process. That, like, you could never say enough affirmations, but seeing what's under the facade of the personality, looking honestly at the wounds to the soul, the wounds to the personality, and seeing, how do we find grace in this? How do we find healing in this? How do we move forward in this? And we learn day by day, moment by moment, that as we shift our thoughts, as we become aware, as we get in the observer self, as we take guided spiritual action, as we go deep within our heart and soul to receive guidance and then move forward. This is how we grow. This is what we call the soul work. And even though we call it work, there's a lot of great, great joy on the other side of it. So, friends, I'm grateful for all of you who are already a part of our online program. I'm thrilled that you listen to the podcast, and I honor you. If this is the only place that you find us, this is wonderful. The thing about the spiritual community that will help you is that you get a little more time with me where you can ask questions. And if there's specifics in your life, we can go a little bit deeper with that. And the talks are every Monday night, by the way, at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, friends, my hope for you is that you do spend some time with us and with your own journey every single day, that you honor yourself by committing to your practice, that you as you are going throughout your day, if you're having a rough day, take a breath, get back in the moment, and realize this spiritual journey, this spiritual process and personal transformation is a day by day, moment by moment process that is full of love and grace for you. So, dear friends, we love you. We bless you. Again, Benton Harbor, Michigan friends, thank you so, so much for listening. We honor you. We bless you. And you live in a fabulous place. And again, to our listener, Marlene Gonzalez, I love you all, my friend, and so honored to still be connected with you and your family. And I wish you well on the journey. And to all of you friends, thanks for your wonderful support financially and otherwise. Again, we are honored and blessed to bring you the show and look forward to seeing you in person very soon. Blessings on the journey, dear friends.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support the podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2024 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Shawn Kilgore. A production of the Soulworks Group, Incorporated.